If you make money and feel like you're doing the right things with your money, but you're still not getting ahead, it's probably not your effort. It's what you're measuring and how frequently you're doing it. My name's Chris. I paid off $43,000 of debt and built up a net worth into the multiple hundreds of thousands. And what changed for me wasn't about working harder or even smarter. It was looking at my money differently. The solution that I currently use takes me about 10 minutes a month to do, and I know if I'm on the right track in those 10 minutes. So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact tool that I use, and I'm going to walk you through this so that you can start doing this process today. But before we get into what it is exactly, let's talk about the problem. What is the problem? Here's what most people do. And let me know if any of these are relatable, okay? So the problems, there's multiple. 1, check bank account daily, right? You're in the weeds. You're looking at it every day. You're not sure if the bills are coming out. This was me, by the way. And the reason why I know these are problems, all of them that I'm going through, I live these. So when I first started my personal finance journey, it was because I didn't know how much was in my bank account. So I had to do this step. I had to dive in and look at this step. This marker sucks. So I'm going to go to the next marker here. Yeah, that's a little better. The next problem that we have is stress about one bad month. Okay? So I see this happen all the time where progress, 1 month happens and then all the progress is gone and the person stops doing the same things that got them to that point. It's like it can be deflating for sure. And also, kind of tying to that, feeling like no progress. Wow, it's really hard to spell. And not know how to get not know how to get unstuck. So it's like you're stuck in a spot. There's no progress. You don't know what to do. These are the main problems. Check the bank account daily. These are a lot of people do. You're like in the weeds every single month, every single day, because you're not sure if all the bills are going to be able to come out. You're stressing about one bad month, and you're feeling like there's no progress. So be honest. Has anyone here ever had a month where you felt like you went backwards financially? And again, I see this too often, unfortunately, where there's 2, 3, 4, 5 months of awesome progress. You're putting in the steps, the things that I talk about in my personal finance community, and then one bad month happens, some unexpected expense stuff happens, or it just kind of falls off the wagon. They forget about it, and that completely derails them. But one bad month doesn't have to destroy all the momentum, right? Or destroy your confidence in the meantime. I mean, it can break the momentum, but it doesn't have to destroy your confidence. In one bad month doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means that you're looking at too small of a window with your finances. If you look at 1 month and you're like, oh my God, I'm the worst, the world is ending, I think we need to expand the time horizon that we're thinking through our personal finances, right? So imagine quitting your goals just because of like one rough stretch. And that's what most people do, and they don't realize it. And it happens more inside of personal finances, right? Let's say, for example, you have some fitness goals, some health goals. You're working on your eating or your exercise, whatever. And let's say it's your best friend's wedding one weekend. So you have a big commitment. You're in the wedding party. You're there for multiple nights. You're eating a lot. Maybe you're drinking alcohol. Maybe you're not working out during that weekend. What do you do after the weekend's over? Do you just say like, oh, my fitness goals are no longer a priority. I had one bad weekend. Everything's down the crapper. No, of course not. You would just kind of get back into it. But unfortunately, with the finance thing, it doesn't really work like that. Imagine if you're 80. You're not going to be looking back like, oh man, I'm really glad that I indulged on that wedding weekend so that I could stop doing my fitness goals. It's like, no, you would be looking back and be like, I really appreciate that I just stayed consistent with my fitness goals. Because when you're 80, you're looking at like a longer time horizon, right? And that's the same thing with our finances. So here's the kind of the framework that I want to think through. And it's about zooming in versus zooming out. So these problems here, they're very common. And these are when people are zooming in too far. Now, in the beginning, just to be very clear, Like we should be absolutely zooming in. If you've never, taken a peek at your finances, you're starting on your own personal finance journey, you're making a good income, but you're like, I don't like, I should be doing more with my money. Like maybe you're just thinking about longer term goals or something like that. Zoom in. But the strategy is to kind of have this mix match of like, so if the red line is zooming in and the blue line is zooming out, we want this like even flow occurring. So it's just kind of, they're just naturally overlapping. And I'm doing this to this day in my personal finances where I've zoomed out so much sometimes where we have we'll call it a bad month. It's like, ooh, we need to take a look at that and see what's going on. There's this like, why are we like, I don't know, $800 different than usual? It's like, we need to zoom in a little bit more, iron it out, and then, okay, like we're back to the plan, right? So that's kind of the overlap and how I want you to think through this. But if you're just starting out, I'm not going to go into deep detail on these topics because I do that in other videos, but here's what you want to do. You want to do something called, first, you want to do the 3-month look back, where we're looking at everywhere that we've spent money over the past 3 months, figure out where it went, and kind of categorize those. You can use AI. I've got a great prompt inside of my personal finance community that people seem to like in there. So we do that. We then look at what we want to be spending our money in. So we're like, hey, here's where we are spending our money. And then we do our North Star goals, which is, where should we be allocating our resources? Where should we be putting all that stuff? And then we realign the old spending and the new way that we want to be spending so that we can reach our financial goals, our life goals in a more efficient manner. So if you're just kind of starting out, though, that's the quick and dirty. That's the steps that you need to do. On my channel, I have a bunch of videos about these topics, so go take a look on that. But if you're building momentum, we want to be zooming out more. So if you're starting, zoom in. If you've been at it for a while, try to zoom out. And that's what we're kind of talking about in this video, because the thing that I haven't really mentioned that much, and the reason, kind of the whole point of this video, is about net worth, okay? So I'm just going to write it here, and we're going to talk about it a little more. Net worth. What's the one thing you guys think of when you think about net worth? What do we think about? Because net worth is simply what we own minus what we owe. Some people say assets minus liabilities, but this is very, very simple here. What we own minus what we owe. That's it. Okay? Let's keep it simple. So net worth is not about bragging rights on Instagram with, your Rolex watch and your cars and your yachts. Anyone on the live, do you guys have any yachts that you want to brag about in the live stream? Net worth is not directly tied to your self-worth. Ooh, right? This is where I think it hits home for people, because if you haven't looked at your net worth, I think it's worth asking yourself, why haven't I done that? I made a post recently in my community about net worth, and the reaction was overwhelmed, to be quite honest with you, of people thinking through that idea. I had a poll, and a lot of people said the option of like, yikes, I'm nervous to look at it. And I think, let me know in the chat, or if you guys are watching this YouTube video after, is that how you feel too? Like, is that the feeling that you have as well? It was quite honestly a lower engaged post, because I think people are just uncomfortable thinking about it or looking at it because they believe it is tied to their self-worth. And that's the most important thing. A net worth is just a number in time just to show progress. It does not mean that you, if you have a high net worth, it doesn't mean that you're an amazing human. If you have a lower net worth, it doesn't mean that you suck as a human. It's just literally a tracking to see the progress that we're making over time. And that's why I decided to make this video. I made the post and I was like, I need to other people probably feel like that. So if that's you, let me know. And I'm making this video to hopefully encourage you to be able to just take a peek. And again, we're going to be going through what I use in my community to track this, and for myself to track this. It takes me 10 minutes, and I can't wait to show you that. So let's talk about some of the things that you can expect to see in your net worth. And I will kind of go over the stuff that's in my net worth, just the categories, not the numbers. So own is over here. Great. And then we have O over here. Okay. So in the own category, some assets that we have money in a checking account. Great. Most people have that. Not that exciting, right? We have money in a savings account. This is getting super fun, right? Everyone has one of those too, most likely. We have money in a high yield savings account. So what you're noticing here, by the way, just a quick caveat, me and my wife, we love having a massive buffer. And that's what this is. So checking's for our day-to-day. Savings is for just like to have. And then the high yield savings is more of just like extra super duper cushion. And it makes us feel comfortable. So that's why we have it. We have the classic 401k, right? These are crazy. I know. These are nuts. No one's ever even used these before. Roth IRA, okay? We have a 529 education savings for both of our kids, which I don't really know if that's our assets or their assets, whatever, but I'm just including it here. We have brokerage account, and this is for goals. And then we have a brokerage account for wealth, and I'll explain the difference of those in a second. We each have cars. They're kind of old at this point. They're probably not too much value. And then we have house. So brokerage goals, brokerage wealth. The difference here is one is literally just so that we can, I don't know, grow our money over like many decades. And then the brokerage goal is right now it's just an account. We don't have a goal for it yet, but it's just like, hey, we know maybe an opportunity is going to come up or something, something that we can kind of pounce on. And we just want to be ready. So we're growing something in like kind of, they're basically two separate accounts, whatever. Here's what we owe. It's a really long list. House. So we own some of the house, we owe some of the house. Okay, and that's it. Now, before, when I had $43,000 of debt, and I'll do this in another color here, we had credit card debt, we had student loan debt, we had car loan payments. It was mostly this, and the higher dollar amounts were in the student loans. So I'd be interested to see what you guys have, if you have any of these same categories. Again, nothing super sexy, right? This isn't like, we're not reinventing the wheel with this list of the things that we own. We are simply just doing the things that we know work for the goals that we have. And that's important, right? Because just because other people are doing it doesn't mean that it's right for you. So this is not me saying, hey, do these things. This is me saying, this is what we do. And if it works for you, if you want to look into those, that's great. So I think what we need to do now is go into the tracker, which is very exciting. So I'm just going to set it up over here. I don't know how I'm going to do this with the live stream because I have it backwards. So I'm going to flip you guys around if anyone's on it. Yeah, this is going to be... All right, we're going to make this work. We're going to make this work. So let's go to the month tab. So we have here January. Net worth tracker. So this is kind of everything that I talked about. We have our assets column over here. Right, so we have, I broke it out into sections. So we have the cash, so like checking account, savings account, other cash. Investments, so things like stocks and bonds, other investments, property, so your primary home, if you have other real estate, cars, things like that. Retirement accounts, so kind of the ones that we have are Roth IRA, 401k, and then here, the liabilities, so things like your auto loans, credit cards, personal loans, student loans, basically anywhere that you owe money, right? So how this works is you just simply come in here and you just fill numbers out. So if you have $10,000 in your checking account, if you have $5,000 in your savings account, maybe you have some stocks, we'll call it like $20,000. Maybe you have a primary home, let's say it's $400,000, the value of it, and you have some in your 401k, you have like 100,000 in your 401k. All right, so far we're looking good. We've got a net worth of 535, but we haven't filled out the liabilities. So let's say the primary home we have, I don't know, there's 300,000 left on the primary. Maybe we have some student loan debt of 40,000, right? You get the point. So it's calculating as we go. And what I did before I jumped on the call here was or on the video, was I added some extra months here to show you in the net worth dashboard now. What we have is over here, this net worth is showing us basically over time how it's looking. Okay, so you can see here January, we started off at about $200,000. February, for some reason, we had a massive dip, right? This is just gonna probably not be your situation. And then as we go up, you can just kind of see it tracking there. And then another way to just quickly look at it, it's the green line here is assets. So hey, what are our assets doing? And then the red line is liabilities. So what are our liabilities doing? So for most people, the easiest thing to do first is to remove liabilities. So yes, that means paying off the debt, getting this column much lower. Because if you end up subtracting your assets by zero, right, you're obviously going to have a much larger net worth, right? Pretty cool. So that is that. I'm gonna flip the camera back around so I won't be able to see you guys on the chat. Hello again, great. So now that we've gone through that, the template is in the community, the personal finance community, if you're interested in that. The link should be somewhere on the homepage, school.com/debt. There's hundreds of people in there. So if you're interested, I'd love to see you in there, and let me know that you came from this video. I'd really like to know kind of what resonates with people the most. So if that's interesting, let me know. But basically what I do is, that's a 5-minute exercise for me, 10 minutes. I do it once per month, and it's not about being perfect, because obviously, like, I don't know, what do you do with a house? Like, you just kind of go off of what the internet says, but I'm not getting my house appraised every month to do this. It's just kind of a gut check sort of a feel. And it's not really something that you want to overthink. This is just something that you want to just plug and play, just kind of see what's progressing. And it doesn't need to be perfect. I say this a lot, but progress is more important than perfection. I think too often I see people are trying to start perfectly, optimize their money immediately and have all these hacks and ways to save like $100 in their taxes or something, and whatever, right? But just start. Yeah, just start doing something, and then down the road we can work towards optimizing it to make it a little more better for you, for your goals. That's important. It's not about what other people say. It depends on what your goals are, what account you should be using. So really the only question that we have to answer here is your net worth going up over time? Or is it going down over time? Is it staying the same over time? If it's going up, I would just kind of keep doing what you're doing, right? If it's going down, we have to look into why. Is it, okay, are assets staying the same? Are they decreasing? Are the liabilities increasing, or are they staying the same? Just having that view of the net worth calculator is very helpful to be able to show you, kind of pinpoint where like a leak is happening, right? And again, if there's like a month goes down, but then you bounce back up, like, it's fine. We want to look at the longer term view, okay? And this is how progress just becomes visible for you, again, in just 10 minutes. So I touched on this a little bit, but the fastest way to pay off your to increase your net worth is to pay off debt. Stop owing other people money. Debt is the biggest wealth killer out there, because everyone wants to talk about the fun, sexy, compounding interest that we get from growing our money. It's like, yes, this is so fun. I'm getting 8, 10, 12% on my money. Every time I sleep, my money is making me more money. Everyone loves that, but we forget that when we are in debt, that it's doing the exact same thing, but just reverse. It's crippling our net worth or our wealth or our ability to put extra money towards things that matter to us the most. It's not really so much about, oh, it's plummeting my net worth. It's we need to free up that money as soon as possible so that we can use it towards your financial goal. I don't know, retiring early, setting up your kids for, financial success, whatever the thing is, right? So really, this is just a 10,000 foot view of your finances, the net worth. It again doesn't. There's no implications about the person that you are or the whatever. It's a number and it's a way to track it. So hopefully this will help you reduce the daily stress, the weekly fluctuations, and then gain some long-term progress, or at least have eyes on like where you think you're going and where you want to go, and then maybe that can help shape what kind of goals you want to have in the future.